Test 1, 2. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Revere Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for June 25th. Could we rise and salute the flag, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Mr. Lemonna? Here. Mr. Lopes? Here. Mr. O'Brien? Here. Mr. Pelton is absent. Alternate member, Ms. Pratt? Here. And Chairman Tucker?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. First item on the agenda was continued from the meeting of June. It's on the application of Michael Trapula, 87 Jones Road, requesting a couple of variances to be able to construct a carport at 87 Jones Road.
Applicant present, please. If you could step up to the microphone, press the button once, you can leave it on. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Michael Trapula, 87 Jones Road.
Okay, I think this is a continuation. We did ask for the structural drawing. It's been received. If this is approved this evening, it does still go back to the building department. So you'd have to go to the building department and seek the permit and stuff for this. And you're aware of that.
The
so.
building permit application
Right.
is applied and contingent upon
Right, and
your
that's exactly
approval.
what he said, so that's it. Seeing that it's a public hearing, I'll ask if there's any proponents, anyone in favor. Seeing and hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Are there any opponents, anyone opposed? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any members wish to speak? Is there a motion for a roll call? Roll call to approve with the standard conditions.
Standard conditions are as follows. If the rights authorized by this variance are not exercised within 1 year of the date of the grant of this variance, the right shall lapse. This variance shall not be valid until the appellant has recorded the variance and plan in the Suffolk County Registry of Deeds and submits document recording numbers and dates to the city clerk and building inspector. And finally, the appellant must receive site plan review approval prior to applying for a building permit. Shall the Zoning Board of Appeals grant the relief requested subject to those conditions? Mr. Lemonna? Yes. Mr. Lopes? Yes. Mr. O'Brien? Yes. Ms. Pratt? Yes. And Chairman Tucker?
Yes.
Yes, the variance has been granted.
Thank you very much.
Next application is that of Hicham Alam, 70 Warren Street, requesting the following variances to enable the appellant to construct a 13-foot by 14-foot driveway at 70 Warren Street. Parking in the front yard is prohibited. 40% of the front yard shall be landscaped, and all parking, and for parking space dimension variance as well.
Good evening. If you could press the microphone, state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. James Cipolletta, 5 Fremont Street, Winthrop, Massachusetts. And with me is the applicant, Mr. Alam. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity. This is a close one with regard to dimensions of a driveway that Mr. Alam is planning to put at his house at 70 Warren, and there are several challenges that are in play. Some of them have to do with his property, others have to do with just the situation on the street. So what he has proposed is the maximum constructible, I guess if that's a word, driveway to be put at his house so we can take his car off the street. So he has a one-family house. And as we know, the zoning ordinance in Revere requires 2 off-street parking spaces for every unit. He has 0. So what he is trying to do is he's parking on the street, he's trying to be more compliant, get his car off the street, especially in snow emergencies or other type of public safety emergencies. And the only way he can do it is the plan that is before the zoning board this evening. The challenge is the topography. Obviously, he's on an uphill slope. There's a wall that is seemingly unmovable, and his engineer says this is the extent that we can go. We can go 14 feet from the property line back to that wall. To mess with the wall, I'm made to understand, would then undermine the stability of the hill, and that wall is holding back some of the soil and making the surface solid and able to withstand the house that's on it. We've had this discussion, you know, in other departments. We do understand that 14 feet is less than, and it's a little bit of an ask, because it's not just 6 inches or 8 inches. What Mr. Alam drives now is a Jeep Compass, and it'll fit. Does he have an F-150? No, and if he did, he wouldn't be able to do it. If he did have another car, and this were to be allowed, then what would happen is that if he were to overhang the boundary of that driveway onto the sidewalk, then he wouldn't be able to park there. It would then become an unusable driveway and would be deemed such by DPW and the city engineer. He doesn't see that that's happening. There is nowhere else to put any car off the street to comply even partially with the zoning ordinance with regard to parking, but where it is. We do understand that the city frowns upon front yard parking, but there are many of these other front yard parking installations and driveways along Warren Street and the surrounding streets. It's not, if this were something that was being built from scratch, we wouldn't have an argument. But what he's trying to do is he's trying to improve the situation, get his car off the street, make it safe, make the street more safe. He's not robbing any parking from other neighbors because he's parking there anyway. And I do understand that the board hears many of these cases where neighbors justifiably come up and say, well, you know, if we do this and you allow this variance, then you're going to reduce the on-street parking for neighbors living in the neighborhood. Those are legitimate concerns. This is not that case. This is a case where he's parking there now, and it's a zero sum. It would just make him more compliant and would get a car off the street. And to no detriment to any of the properties around him or to any of the other houses on Warren. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Seeing that this is a public hearing, are there any proponents? Anyone in favor? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Are there any opponents? Anyone opposed? Okay. I'll open it up to proponents. Anyone in favor? Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Fatima Franco, and we're basically his neighbor. We live on 68 Warren Street, and we're okay with him by getting that construction done.
So you're to the left or the right? You're to the right, facing the front of his house?
Right. I'm
To
on
the
the
right.
right. Yes.
And you own 68 Warren Street?
My dad does, but he doesn't speak English.
Okay,
so,
well, but
yes.
the owner is here. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Is there anyone else in favor? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Are there any opponents? Anyone opposed? Seeing and hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Any members wish to speak? I do have some questions, but if anybody else?
Yeah, the only problem I see with this is, I mean, you're almost 5 feet into the sidewalk. The depth is what concerns me. I have that problem on Bellingham Ave now, where cars, I mean, these driveways were built a while ago, and cars are encroaching right onto the sidewalk, and it's just hazardous. That's the only thing I don't like about it. If he increase the depth, I think it would be more appealing.
Yes, and I'm going to throw this out there, not being an engineer, but I've seen engineers and surveyors solve problems similar to this, and I'm wondering if, and I'm not sure whether or not, if we go back to site plan review, anybody's going to have a safety concern with this, but if that car were to go in at an angle rather than straight in, then he might get more depth. It won't be a straight in shot, then it becomes a question of what happens when you back or pull out, and you're pulling out on a 30 or 40-degree angle. I don't know the answer to that question. There are professionals downstairs across the street who do know that, but that is a possibility, that if he were able to take that and angle it so as, whichever way, because if he's coming on the right side of Warren, then he just pulls straight in rather than try to do a reverse angle. So I think to some extent, there might be some remedy by reorienting the direction of that driveway. That's something he and I were talking about a little bit outside before we came in, and I've not discussed that with the surveyor. So it's, I would, and he would be willing to do that, to make that alteration. Also to do plantings so as not to rob any of that greenery, because I noticed that we do have a minimum amount of green space that we need. But he would fill in whatever extent that he needs to around it.
Yeah.
Okay. There are a few concerns for myself raised. For one, front yard parking, of course, is something that the city doesn't allow and they frown upon just because it takes up the green space. And it also requires curb cuts. I see in one case that you put a curb cut, you're saying you're not taking away parking. However, without a curb cut, people have the freedom of parking on the street. You don't have exclusive parking in front of your home. Nobody does. I don't, nobody does. Getting a front yard variance, I've myself have approved some here and being on the board. Before I came on the board, I requested front yard parking, so that's how I knew about zoning board of appeals. So I have front yard parking at my house with a tight 18-foot driveway. And to be honest with you, 18 feet is, for an average car is limited. The average car is between 18 feet and 23 feet. The Ford Compass, or the Jeep Compass that he's having, is 14.5. So when you say that you have a car that's going to fit, if you have a parking space that's 14 feet, nobody's going to abut right up to a wall. My wife doesn't constantly got to go out and move her car because she's on the sidewalk. And we have 18 feet. People don't tend to want to park and hit their bumper because these plastic bumpers are very expensive. The board here has a right to approve for front yard parking. I think you'd have the right to approve for 14 feet. Would I personally? Not at all, because I do not feel that anything below 18 feet is suitable for parking. Just for the simple fact is people have a vehicle, they're not going to put it right up to a foundation wall. I personally don't do it. I live with a wife that doesn't do it. Even if I put the ping pong ball, she still don't want to pull up and be tight into the space. Is there any way that you're saying that it's, I did look, going sideways not going to give you a lot of space. If it gives you a foot, you'd be lucky. Normally it's 9 by 18. I see why you went to 13.9, because if you get approved curb cut, that would be another obstacle for you. You still have to apply for a curb cut. But if you were to get it, it would be that wide, or it's maybe a little bit wider. I'm not sure of the dimensions of a curb cut now in the city. But myself, personally, 14 foot is something I've never seen here at the board. I've opposed 16 being on the board, and they were tandem, two vehicles. I can sympathize with you wanting it, but is there any way you can come back to us? We can continue this and you can come back and look at maybe increasing it some distance? I've been up and down the street, I
The
really,
house is like 30, or more than 30. I have
Mm-hmm.
two entrances, two stairs to
Yep.
get to the house.
The width doesn't bother me, it's the depth.
Yeah, I know. The depth, because it's the instruction of the house, I can't go any more the depth. But I can't park like 30.
But the house is not, the house is 18, it's, you got a foundation wall before the house.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
The little wall, can
Yeah.
they, you can't alter that? That's not the foundation of the house, that's the foundation of your plot, of the lot outside the house, correct? If we're looking at this plan shows the house footprint, and then it shows your stairs coming up with the concrete foundation of the stairs. Is that, I thought you had like a wooden stairs out here, right? The staircase here is
There's
what?
two stairs.
Right.
Stairs to go.
And they go to what?
One is to the basement and all the way down, all the way up to the second door.
Yes, but
And
the
one-
staircase goes to, I don't have the picture in front of me, so I apologize, but if you have the picture of the house that was left, am I correct to say that the stairs here, you have a foundation wall, a cobblestone wall, correct? Which one are we looking at here? So in this picture here, where are we looking? Yep, most definitely. Oh, you can walk around that. Where are you at? Okay. So, if you notice this here, this is your house? All right, so this here, the porch shows here on this plan as this, correct? Coming out this far?
Yeah.
Coming out that far. I know that I'm not on. I just want to make sure it's, all right. So the porch being out that far, the front. Do you want to do that? Just do the other one. Sorry about that. So the house foundation is in to the 18 feet. That's the 18 feet out, unless you're not depicting this overhang, and that's even a worse thing for me, because I'm looking at the plan showing this overhang as being where they're gonna put a wall.
The wall is gonna be under this, the porch is sitting. So you're gonna support the porch, and it is gonna be like I assume it is a foundation for the basement, because I have the foundation for the basement.
But they
That's-
can't take and go in between two of these columns so you can have a parking space?
it's gonna be
It can be
very-
done, but it may be
yeah,
costly.
It costs a lot of money.
It may be costly, yes.
Yeah,
But to have a space that, there you go, I'm sorry. To have a space just 14 feet in is very difficult to, I mean, you have other members here that may well vote for it. I'm just voicing my concerns as one individual at a time. I don't think that going down the street, I think they're even in depth more than.
Problem when I apply for the, I'm sorry. When I apply for the curb cuts to add the driveway, when I looked at the city website, there is no any mention about the depth. There's only about width.
A parking space.
Yeah, they say this- yeah.
9/18, it's mentioned everywhere.
No, they didn't say, they didn't, I have the city hall
Not
that
the
website, the driveway. They say just
Depth of a vehicle is 9
about the
by
width between minimum 9 and the maximum 20. But they didn't say anything about the depth and the website.
It's on his letter that it's a 9/18. It's on the letter that he sent you also, but it is
Yeah,
on,
it is, it's 19.
dimensional controls are listed on our website. Yeah, every developer would say what you're saying, but there is 9/18 as the standard space, parking space on the city. And most things.
Why? My car will fit because it's not that, because I am gonna dig a little bit under the
It's one
foundation.
car, it's not just your car, sir. That's the legality of having a parking space is usually 9/18. If others wanted to decrease that to to 14, they so made, they have the right to do that. You have one vote here that's not gonna make a space 14 feet long. That's very, very short space. I don't see any on the street that's even that short, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Test 1, 2. So, is there any way for you to look with an engineer to make that deeper? If it's something that you're not willing to do, then, not width, depth. No, you can't go sideways. You can't park a vehicle sideways.
I know where you stand, but I can go even more 4 feet deep, another problem, because I have the Porsche coming down. So if I wanna go down, I have to, it's gonna be cost a lot, I have to support the Porsche.
I mean, so you're not willing to look at that, so you're not wishing for a continuation, you'd like us to vote on this evening?
I would.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we would then request a continuance for such time to come up with, consult with an engineer and see if we can come up with something, and we would waive the intervening days for the purposes of 48, so that we don't run the clock out. I know.
It's going to be July 23rd anyways, isn't it?
Yeah, July 23rd is our next meeting, so
Right.
if there's a motion to continue, is that okay, Ashley? The motion to continue will be within his,
Whatever the board would like to do, but
Okay.
that's an option for the board, is to continue the matter, which is
so there's a motion to continue. I'd like a roll call, please.
Shall the zoning board of appeals continue this matter to the July 23rd meeting? Mr. Lemonna? Yes. Mr. Lopes? Yes. Mr. O'Brien? Yes. Ms. Pratt? Yes, and Chairman Tucker?
Yes.
Yes, the continuance has been granted.
Okay, having no further business, our
Thank you,
next
Mr. Chairman.
meeting will
Thank
be
you.
July 23rd at 5 PM. Thank you and good night.